This is what our old kitchen cabinets used to look like, and this is what they look like after we painted, rearranged, and reused them. Reusing as many of your old cabinets as you can is a great way to save a ton of money on your kitchen remodel. Welcome back to Every Other Carl. I'm Carl, and today I'm going to show you how we rescued our old cabinets. If you're going to be relocating your cabinets like we are, the first step is to remove them. If you don't plan to move any of your cabinets around, you can paint them in place, but you at least need to remove all your doors. You're going to want to paint those laying flat. Once I had my cabinets removed, I worked on any repairs I needed to make to the walls. In my last video, I did a bunch of electrical work, and now I'm finishing up the drywall patches that I made. With the drywall repaired, we painted the ceiling and walls. It's important to paint the ceiling and walls now before putting your cabinets back up so that you don't get any paint splatter on the freshly painted cabinets. Choosing the right type of paint is important for your kitchen and even more so for your cabinets. There's plenty of great brands, but we used Sherwin Williams paints. For our walls, we used Sherwin Williams Spec paint with an eggshell finish. This paint can hold up to some washing and will resist staining. Our color was Swiss Coffee. For our cabinets, we first used a specific primer from Sherwin Williams that is meant for cabinet doors and trim. This is a urethane modified acrylic primer that bonds very strongly to the cabinet to avoid scratching or peeling. For our color code on the cabinets, we used Sherwin Williams Showcase Satin finish paint in Clary Sage. This is a very strong paint that dries fairly hard and can withstand scrubbing and lots of touching without scratching or peeling. You want something strong like this since you're going to be touching the cabinets a lot. You also want to choose a finish like satin, semi-gloss, or gloss that will resist staining and allow you to wash the paint. Anything too matte or flat in finish will stain easily and can't really be cleaned. I'll leave some links to the paints and products that I'm using in the description. Alright, the room is prepped. Now let's look at how to actually refinish these cabinets. The first step is sanding and prepping the surfaces of your cabinets. You want to get them smooth and clean in order to receive the new paint well. We started with 150 grit sandpaper on our electric orbital sander and oscillating tool with a pointed sanding pad, and then moved up to 300 grit. We then used diluted TSP, a great non-greasy paint prep spray, to get the surfaces properly prepped for paint. You should definitely consider using TSP if you've never tried it before. Again, I'll leave a link below. One thing to consider at this point is whether you need or want to remove any wood grain from your cabinet doors. We have oak doors, which have a subtle grain in them, and we liked it. If you wanted to get rid of this, you could use a wood filler at this stage, then sand it down and clean it again with TSP. For us, we were ready for primer. When you're painting your cabinets, you basically have two options for applicators. You can either spray them with a paint gun, or you can roll them with a specific paint roller designed for cabinets. You never want to use a brush on cabinets, as this will give you a very textured look. We decided on the roller approach, and I'll leave a link to the rollers we used. They're specifically meant for cabinets and are different from what you would use on a wall. The rollers work well for the large flat areas, and we could use foam brushes to get into the nooks and crannies. It's important to take your time with the painting process. We went through 1 coat of primer and 2 coats of color paint, and let each coat dry properly between applications. With all the time between coats of paint, I was able to work on a little carpentry side quest of retrofitting a couple new supplementary cabinets we bought to look like our old cabinets. These new cabinets were what's called shaker style, which is a very minimalistic trim. Looks a lot like IKEA cabinets in my opinion. Our old cabinets had a slightly more ornate beveled trim, so I cut some thin strips of wood and glued them to the new cabinet doors. With some routering and sanding along with wood filler, I was able to mimic the old cabinets pretty closely. Alright, so I cut all my pieces here. Now I'm just going to sand off the edge of the side here, all the outside edges, to try to mimic this curve. This is actually a bit of a curve here. I don't have a router bit that's going to do that for me, but I think if I sand it just enough, I might be able to mimic that edge. I've got a 60 grit pad on here, and I'm going to take off that edge with the 60 and then smooth it out with a 320. I think that's working out pretty nice. Alright, now I'm going to glue those pieces on and clamp them for a while.
All right, I glued all those pieces on, and I just have some scraps holding it all down firmly with clamps, and we'll let that dry. All right, the glue is dried, and it's looking pretty good. I'm going to do some of this vinyl spackling. It's like plastic wood. Put that all around the edges here, and then I'll sand it down once that's dry. All right, that vinyl spackle has dried now. I'm just going to sand it down, make it nice and smooth. All right, it's all sanded down. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I'm going to clean it up and prime it. All right, it's all primed in. When that's dry, paint it green.
After a finished coat of paint, I think that door came out pretty darn good. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We were waiting for the other cabinet doors to dry. While we waited, we could start installing the cabinets and getting them properly spaced and shimmed on the walls. We popped in the cabinet above the fridge because we still needed to be able to use our kitchen while renovating, and not having a fridge is kind of a big problem. So we put our new fridge in and then started on our main cabinet wall with our new corner cabinet, which would be the anchor or the starting point for the rest of the cabinets.
All right, I have that one corner cabinet in. I may have to do a couple little adjustments, but for now it's in place, and I'm ready to put my next cabinet in. That's going to be a 30-incher, and then I'm going to have a 9 next to it, and then the microwave and small cabinet above it is going to be right here. But before I put any of these in, I want to run a wire from this outlet up and over to where the microwave hood vent combo is going to plug in, hidden inside that cabinet. So I want to run that wire now, get it through here. There's one stud here, there's one stud here. Gotta run it through there and up to where the cabinet is going to be. All right, I got my hole cut. Now I'm just going to run the wire down to that outlet.
With the wire and receptacle box in place, we could start installing the rest of the cabinets. You might notice that the wall under the cabinets looks like a real mess. Don't worry, we'll be refinishing that with a marble backsplash in a future video. You might also notice that there is a bit of a gap between the top of the cabinets and the ceiling. This is intentional to allow the doors to open freely without hitting the ceiling or lights. Getting the cabinets to align with the ceiling is more important than having them level, although they should end up level anyway. We used shims to get the cabinets flush with each other, then screwed them in.
All right, these three are finally up. It's pretty tough getting this angle of the corner piece to be just right so that the line at the top here stayed consistent. If you can see, the roof is a little wonky, or the ceiling, and the wall is pretty wonky. See how much space we have over here. It just wasn't done great. In any case, it's nice and consistent now along the top there. There's a little bit of a indent there in the ceiling, but I think once the doors are on, you're not going to notice it so much. These are all screwed in to the studs and also screwed to each other so that the gaps between them are nice and tight.
With these cabinets in place, we were able to install their doors to get a real sense of what our new kitchen was going to look like. A couple tips for installing hardware. Sometimes cabinets will have partially drilled holes on the back side of the doors for standard sized handles. If your hardware matches those holes, you can just finish drilling them. Otherwise, it's a good idea to carefully drill from the front side, since your drill bit could cause some damage as it drills through and pushes out the other side of your hole. You want that potential damage to end up on the inside of the door. The last wall cabinet we needed to install was the one above our stove that would hold our microwave hood vent. This was another new cabinet that we bought and assembled to match the specific size of our microwave. The microwave was a great open box deal from Lowe's. I'll talk more about the specific costs of our $4,000 kitchen renovation in a future video, so subscribe if you want to see that. But for now, buying discount appliances like this goes a long way when you're sticking to a budget.
So this is the Samsung microwave that we got, open box at Lowe's. It was half price because it had a dent, quote unquote. This is the dent. I just took the bottom off here. This is almost unnoticeable. And I think I'm going to do about a $250 fix right here, just by pushing that in. There. Straighten it out as much as it needed to be. It's going to work perfectly fine. All right, here's the cabinet that we're going to put over the microwave, and the microwave is going to attach to it up underneath. Comes with a great template. You just put it on the bottom of the cabinet, and it tells you where to drill holes. This is going to be the two screws that hold the top of the cabinet, and then this is going to be the hole for the plug to come through.
With the holes drilled per the template, the microwave installed nice and easily and plugged into our new hidden outlet. In upcoming videos, I'll show how we did our base cabinets. It didn't really fit with this video since base cabinets are pretty integrally linked to the countertop install. After the countertop is installed, we can install the backsplash. So this little space is going to be ugly for a while. For now, we're very happy with how we were able to save our wall cabinets with some paint and new hardware. I hope you gained something from this video, or at least enjoyed it. Let me know if you like the result or have any tips on how we could have done this better in the comments. It'll help the next person out. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see the rest of the renovation. Until next time, I'm Every Other Carl, and I'll see ya.